Hello, my name is Mark Saunders, and this YouTube video presentation is about anonymising interviews when reporting research. It's one of a series of YouTube video presentations on my YouTube channel, Mark Saunders on Research Methods, and you can see the link to this on the bottom left-hand corner of each screen. In this video presentation, we're going to start off by looking at the meanings of anonymisation and also anonymity. These are important because it actually gives us the context of which we're going to be talking later. And what we're going to be looking at is maintaining anonymity while reporting our research findings. So this could be in writing or it could be in a presentation, but we're going to focus very much on the writing. And we're going to look at how we maintain anonymity in the methodology and in the findings. And we'll look at it in relation to both organisations and also to individuals. And then, as usual with such presentations, we're going to finish up with references and further reading. And just as an aside, you can see the people on the right-hand side are completely anonymous as there are no faces visible. So let's start by looking at what we understand by the words anonymisation and anonymity. And anonymisation normally refers to anonymised data, and this is where we have insufficient, often personal data to identify the person or the organisation. So we may be talking about a small wine business in South Africa in the town of Wellington in the Western Cape, and rather than giving that much detail, we just say a small wine business in South Africa. Let's now look at anonymity. Now, anonymity is the process of concealing the identity of participants and or organisations in all documents resulting from the research. So it's an actual process. How do we make sure that people's identities, organisations' identities, cannot be found out? Alternatively, it could mean this process of concealing the identity of participants or organisations so that nobody, not even the researcher, will be able to identify the participants and organisations. And this links back to your ethics and your ethical review and so on, and acting ethically throughout your research. Now let's look at how we would actually write or talk about organisations' participants whilst preserving their anonymity in the methodology section. And for this I'm going to use a paper which is co-authored by myself, Neve Abgela, who is the main author, Reinhard Bachmann and Amal Mishra. And this paper appeared in Work, Employment and Society in 2025. I'm going to start reading the text that's on the page so you can see how things fit in. Our qualitative study explored the lived experience of participants and meanings they attributed to their social environments. We gained access to two leading UK consultancy firms through senior members who served as gatekeepers without influencing the audience. So, we're not naming the organisations at all, but we are actually giving a broad geographical location. At this stage of what we're writing about, it's only the UK. Aimed at achieving heterogeneity, our method highlighted key themes across varied experiences, providing profound insights. We initially interviewed 30 individuals from these companies, expanding our research through referrals to 50 participants across 5 UK consulting firms and a US branch of one firm representing 2 significant markets. So now what we're doing is we're giving the number of participants as well, and we're saying it's not just only the UK in broad location, it's also the USA. We carry on. Our diverse sample included the balance of grade, age, average 36.3 years, experience, average 13.6 years, and gender, 50% in each. So we're giving broad demographics of our sample there. And then finally, we say if you want detail on individual participants, please see Table 1. If we look at the table on participants' demographics, here the participant profile methodology, again an extract from the paper here, what we now see is we give a participant code which will then link into the actual text in the paper, so we can link individual quotations to individuals, and then we give their demographic information, their grade, their age, their experience in years, and their gender. And this links back to the focus of the paper, so we're using demographic variables which are relevant to the research question we're answering. If we look at how do we attribute long quotes in the findings, we can see here we start off with some text which explains about approachability and availability and how these were discussed most in association with trusting superiors by our participants. The latter two were especially voiced by those participants holding junior roles. So what we've got here is contextualising the quotation in text, And then we go directly to the quote, which is a longer quote and it's indented because that's what the journal requires for quotes of 4 or more sentence lines in length. And again, we link it back to that earlier table. We say P27, which we could find on table, and it's a pre-managerial colleague. We're now going to look at what we do with short direct quotes in the findings. And the first thing we can see is that it's a shorter quote, so it's actually within the text. But what we're actually saying is, for many participants, consultancy work required travel. So this is indicating it's a generalised text when we're actually contextualising it within our writing. We then go on to give the actual quote, where you're away from home, you eat together every night, you get to know each other, and so we build a personal relationship, and we link that quote to a particular participant in our table of participant profiles. And then the quote carries on, and then finally we introduced a longer quote as well. This, they felt, enabled trust to develop quickly, and then there's a colon which then links into the longer quote. So there you have it, how to actually keep your data, participants or organisations anonymised, but also give enough detail to be able to contextualise the findings for those who are reading about your research. So let's have a look at some further reading. The first reference is to the paper which is quoted within this YouTube presentation. It's by Neve Abgela, myself, Reinhard Bachmann and Amil Mishra, and it's about identifying trust, exchange dynamics and constituents of employee trust within management consulting. It appeared in 2025 in Work Employment Society. Miles Huben and Salamandana's book, Qualitative Data Analysis, a Method Source Book, is excellent, especially in chapter 12 when you're looking to write up about qualitative data and the findings. My own textbook, Research Methods of Business Students, which I wrote with Phil and Adrian, chapters 6 and 13 can be helpful here. And finally, Mavasti has a really useful chapter in David Silverman's book, Qualitative Research, and this chapter is about writing, qualitative research, practice, genre and audience.